When I turned 70, I started walking with a cane. By 75, I needed help getting out of bed. And by 80, I thought pain was just part of growing old. But then something unexpected happened. One quiet morning in autumn, I stood up without holding onto the wall. No ache, no stiffness, just balance, just breath. What changed? Not a pill, not a doctor, just 6 small seeds, each one carrying the quiet strength my joints had forgotten. Why do these seeds help reduce swelling in the legs? How do they support natural collagen without any supplements? And how can you begin this gentle healing starting today? Let's take a walk together into the kitchens of Japanese elders and discover what keeps our knees moving, even at 85. Because aging doesn't mean breaking down. Sometimes it means coming back to life. I still remember the morning it happened. The sky was pale blue. The tea was still warm in my hands, and for the first time in years I stood up from my futon, without wincing. There was no creak in my knees, no slow balancing act between foot and floor, just a steady rise, like I had done 1,000 times before, in my younger years. It wasn't a miracle. It wasn't overnight. It was the quiet result of small things done with care. A teaspoon of seeds in the morning, a slower breakfast, a lighter dinner. I hadn't meant to fix anything. I was simply trying to feel more at ease in my body, to walk to the park without having to sit every 5 minutes, to tie my shoes without holding my breath. That morning, I looked at my knees and whispered, "Thank you." You see, in Japan, we believe healing doesn't shout, it whispers. And it often begins not in hospitals, but in the kitchen. For decades, I followed my grandmother's rituals without fully understanding them. Now I realize she wasn't just feeding us, she was teaching our joints how to last. So today, I want to pass those lessons on to you, not as a cure, but as a gentle invitation to care for your knees, your legs, and your life one small seed at a time. When I was younger, I thought aging would feel gradual, like a soft sunset, slow and warm. But the truth? It crept into my knees long before my heart ever felt old. At first, it was a little stiffness after sitting, then swelling in my ankles by evening. Eventually, climbing stairs became an effort I didn't expect. But why? Why do our joints seem to wear down even when our spirit still feels young? The answer lies in a quiet shift inside the body, a shift many of us never see coming. First, circulation slows down. As we age, blood doesn't move through our legs as easily. Sitting too long, especially in soft chairs, causes fluid to pool in the ankles and calves. This is called peripheral edema, and it's more common than most people realize. Second, our body begins to produce less collagen. Collagen is the invisible cushion between our bones. It's what lets us squat, stretch, and stand without friction. After age 50, collagen production declines steadily, like a stream that once ran full but now trickles quietly. And with less collagen, the cartilage thins, bones begin to rub, inflammation builds, and what follows is pain. But there's more. With age, our diet often changes. Less protein, fewer minerals, and sometimes less care. Processed food replaces whole meals. And hydration? We forget. Add to that stress, lack of movement, and even long-term medications. And you have a perfect storm for joint fatigue. But here's the thing no one tells you. It's not inevitable. Your joints are not doomed. They're simply asking for help. And sometimes, that help comes from the most humble places, like a seed soaked overnight, or a walk taken just before sunset. In Japan, we don't wait until pain becomes unbearable. We support the body early, gently, daily. We eat for flow, not fullness. And we see food as a partner in healing, not just a source of fuel. So before we talk about the 6 seeds that change my knees, we need to understand the quiet worker holding everything together, collagen, because without it, even the most careful lifestyle begins to fray. In my village, there's a quiet rhythm to each day, not rushed, not loud, just a flow of small rituals that nourish the body and calm the mind. And at the center of that rhythm is food, but not the kind you microwave, or eat in your car, or order from a glowing screen. No. In Japan, we eat to support life, not to silence hunger. My grandmother used to say, "The way you eat becomes the way you age." At the time, I thought she meant portion size. Now I know she meant everything. Here's what I've learned over the years. We don't count calories. We count colors on the plate. We don't eat until full. We stop at 80%. It's called harahachi bu, a simple idea that gives the body room to heal after meals. Most elders I know in Japan still prepare their own food daily. They sit on the floor, stir slowly, and eat in silence. Meals are light but deeply nourishing. Small bowls of miso soup, pickled vegetables, seaweed, tofu, and always a sprinkle of seeds or nuts. It may look modest, but inside those bowls are decades of wisdom. You see, in our culture, seeds aren't snacks, they're medicine. A spoonful of sesame over rice, a handful of walnuts with green tea, a paste of roasted pumpkin seeds spread gently over steamed eggplant. Each seed chosen not for flavor alone, but for function. Not for pleasure alone, but for protection. Contrast that with how many people in the West eat. Rushed breakfasts, large portions, meals that leave the body tired instead of energized. The difference isn't just what's on the plate, it's how we relate to it. In Japan, we eat with both hands. One holds the bowl, the other holds gratitude. We chew slowly, we listen to our body. And we believe this: the food you eat today becomes your body tomorrow. So before I tell you about the first seed that helped restore my knees, remember this: how you eat matters just as much as what you eat. And now, let's begin with the seed that taught me stillness and movement: chia. My grandson once held a chia seed between his fingers and said, "This doesn't even look like food." He was right. It doesn't crunch. It doesn't smell. It barely moves when you pour it. But give it water, and give it time, and something magical happens. Each seed blooms into a soft, gel-like orb, a transformation quiet enough to miss, but powerful enough to change a body. That's how healing works too. I first discovered chia seeds in my 70s. A friend had returned from California with a small glass jar and a bigger story. "These help my knees stop swelling," she said. "I drink them every morning." I was skeptical, but she stood taller than I remembered. She moved with ease. So I listened. That week, I soaked a spoonful of chia in warm water, waited 10 minutes, and drank it before breakfast. Nothing happened. Not at first. But after 2 weeks, I noticed my ankles weren't as puffy by evening. My knees no longer groaned when I stood up, and I stopped reaching for the handrail every time I climbed the stairs. Why? Because chia seeds are rich in plant-based omega-3s, specifically ALA, a gentle but powerful anti-inflammatory fat that soothes joints from the inside out. They're also packed with soluble fiber, which supports digestion and blood sugar stability. 2 quiet allies in reducing water retention and leg swelling. And most beautifully, chia contains plant protein, the kind that helps your body rebuild collagen, the soft scaffolding that cushions every step you take. In Japan, we say, "Chisai koto ga shiawase no hajimari." Happiness begins with small things. And chia is exactly that: small, simple, silent in its work, but steady in its care. These days, I add them to everything: miso soup, rice porridge, even grated apples with cinnamon. My neighbor drinks them with lemon and honey each morning. She says, "My knees feel like they're smiling." And I believe her, because mine do too. Every afternoon, just as the shadows begin to stretch across the garden, I take a slow walk to the park. In my pocket, I carry a small cloth pouch. Inside, 5 walnuts, not for hunger, not for habit, but as an act of quiet care, especially for my knees. I didn't always need them. In my younger days, I could kneel for hours during tea ceremonies. But as I approached 70, that changed. Bending down became stiff. Squatting felt like folding a rusted hinge. My doctor told me, "This is just what happens with age." But I've never believed that getting older must mean living with pain. So I returned, as I often do, to the kitchen. Walnuts, kurumi, as we call them, have long been valued in Japanese and Chinese traditions for their warming energy and their ability to nourish the bones. Modern science now echoes that wisdom. Walnuts are rich in alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a powerful plant-based omega-3 known to reduce inflammation and protect joint cartilage. They also contain antioxidants, amino acids, and healthy fats that support collagen production, repair connective tissues, and reduce oxidative stress, the silent wear and tear inside aging joints. I once read a study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition that found older adults who ate walnuts regularly had better joint mobility and lower inflammation markers in their blood. But even without the science, I could feel the difference. Within 2 months of my daily walnut ritual, my knees no longer protested when I stood. I could walk longer. I even began kneeling again during tea ceremony practice. A joy I thought I had quietly lost forever. In Japan, we don't eat walnuts by the handful. We pair them with intention, mashed with miso over steamed vegetables, chopped into warm rice, folded into soft tofu, rich but not heavy, healing but never forceful. My friend, Mr. Tanaka, who is 91, eats exactly 5 walnuts each day under the same tree. No more, no less, he says. Too much, and you forget what your body actually needs. That's the wisdom I love most in Japanese food culture: moderation. We eat not to feel full, but to feel supported. And walnuts? They support, not just the knees, but the quiet confidence that movement will still be possible tomorrow. When I was a girl, I used to watch my mother's hands as she kneaded rice dough or folded clean laundry. Even in her 70s, her fingers moved with grace, strong, steady, and soft. She once told me, "Take care of your hands and legs. They carry your spirit through life." At the time, I thought she meant moisturizers. Now, in my 80s, I understand exactly what she meant. Our bones tell the story of how we live, and how we nourish them decides how long we can keep walking that story. That's why almonds have become my quiet companions. They're not traditional in Japan, but over the past decade, many elders, like me, have started adding them to our daily routines, not because a trend told us to, but because our knees, our hips, and our balance quietly asked for help. Almonds are rich in 3 key nutrients for aging bones and joints. Magnesium helps muscles relax, reduces cramps, supports joint function. Calcium, essential for bone strength, especially postmenopause. Vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that reduces oxidative stress in joints and supports skin elasticity. Every morning, I soak 6 almonds in warm water overnight. I peel them gently, sit by my window with a cup of barley tea, and chew slowly, with gratitude. A woman from Kyoto once told me, "Soaking makes them sweeter, softer, and easier to digest." She was right, but more than that, soaking became a ritual, a pause, a prayer. a promise to my body that I will care for it, one almond at a time. Over the months, I noticed something curious. My knees didn't ache after long walks. The skin on my legs looked brighter. My balance felt steadier, like the ground held me more gently. Even my yoga teacher, Yoko, who leads a chair yoga class for seniors, tells her students, eat almonds before class. They'll give your joints what they need to move kindly. She's right. And I've seen it firsthand, not just in myself, but in the way my friends now move more freely, laugh more often, and greet the morning with a little more ease. You see, in Japan, we have a word, shakiku. It means nutritional education that connects food, body, and spirit. And almonds? They're not just good for bones. They're a gentle teacher in shakiku, reminding us that health doesn't come from pills, but from presence. Autumn in Japan arrives quietly. The air turns crisp, the light softens, and kitchens begin to smell like roasted squash, warm miso, and sweet rice. That's when my grandmother used to say, "This is the season to strengthen your legs." I never understood what she meant until much later, until I began to feel that ache in my calves when winter came too quickly, until I realized that some seeds carry the strength of the season itself. Let me tell you about 3 of them. They may not have the fame of almonds or walnuts, but for those of us over 60, they're quiet champions. Pumpkin seeds, the zinc powerhouse. In Japanese, we call them kabocha no tane. Roasted with sea salt, they were once just a childhood snack. Now, they're part of my daily medicine. Why? Because pumpkin seeds are one of the richest plant sources of zinc, a mineral essential for producing and repairing collagen. Without enough zinc, healing slows down, swelling lingers, even bruises take longer to fade. I sprinkle 2 spoonfuls a day into soups, steamed rice, or blend them into a miso paste for grilled eggplant. Within weeks, my knees felt firmer. The skin around my ankles, once puffy, grew tighter, stronger. It's a small change, with a deep effect. Hemp seeds. Repair in every spoonful. I discovered hemp seeds after a fall in my garden left my hip aching. Rather than reach for painkillers, I reached for food. Hemp seeds contain a rare balance of omega-3 and omega-6 alongside complete plant protein with all 9 amino acids. Together, these nutrients support tissue repair, reduce chronic inflammation, and help the body rebuild itself from within. Now, I add a spoonful to my porridge every morning, sprinkle some over lunch vegetables, and even stir them into warm barley tea at night. Healing, for me, became a flavor: nutty, earthy, satisfying. Sesame seeds, the traditional backbone. Out of all the seeds, sesame is the most sacred in my home. I grew up grinding it by hand with my mother. The rhythm of the mortar became a kind of lullaby. Sesame is rich in calcium, magnesium, and copper, minerals vital for maintaining bone density and joint flexibility. It also contains a unique compound called sesamin, known for reducing inflammation and oxidative stress. In Japan, we don't just sprinkle sesame. We grind it to release its oils, mix it into tofu, steep it in hot water, and stir it into almond milk before bed. It's not a garnish. It's a practice, one that calms the body, lubricates the joints, and reminds us that strength can be quiet. Together, these 3 seeds form a kind of trio: one for structure, sesame; one for repair, hemp; and one for protection, pumpkin. I call them my evening seeds, because I often add them to dinner when the day begins to slow and my body needs restoration. They don't need fancy packaging. They don't need to be trendy. They just need to be there, small, steady, and ready to help you walk into the next season with grace. I know, it can feel overwhelming. There's chia, walnuts, almonds, pumpkin, hemp, sesame. So many names, so many choices. But healing doesn't start with everything. It starts with one thing, one moment of care, one spoonful of trust, one small act of listening to what your body quietly needs. You don't have to become a new person. You don't have to throw away your old habits. You simply have to begin. This morning, maybe try soaking a few almonds. Tomorrow, stir a spoon of chia into warm tea. Next week, sprinkle pumpkin seeds into your soup. Let each seed become a whisper to your joints, a gentle reminder that you're still here and you're still worthy of movement, of strength, of softness. In Japan, we don't chase youth. We honor the years. We care for the bones that carried us, the joints that bent so we could rise, the legs that still walk us through life. And you can do the same, not with pills, not with pressure, but with presence. Because aging is not the end of vitality. It is the beginning of a deeper kind of wisdom, a more peaceful kind of strength. And if you begin today, with just one seed, you might be surprised at how far your body will carry you tomorrow.